So I've mentioned before, there's a great deal of redundancy in the federal rules of evidence, and oftentimes when you can admit something under one rule, you can admit it under another rule as well. Now, there is some justification for multiple reasons for admission when the rules cover different territory, and a particular piece of evidence could overlap in very different exceptions to hearsay, for instance. But I've also expressed my objection to the way that the rules are drafted, in that we've got a whole lot of just unnecessary stuff in the rules of evidence. And you see that in exception 12 and 13, or rather in 11 and 12. In 11, records of a religious organization are relating to baptisms and marriages and deaths and such, are an exception to hearsay. And then exception 12, certificates of marriages, baptisms, and similar ceremonies are also exceptions to hearsay. You really have to think that we could have put that in one simple rule, but it's worth kind of noting now that we have a different case for Rule 12. And notice that this case that we offer notes that Rule 11 and 12 cover this circumstance. These are records held by a Catholic church. I guess it is private; it's not a government entity. The records held by a Catholic church in Portland, Oregon, offer records of marriage and of baptism. In this particular case, there are folks who are claiming to be the heirs of a particular person, and they want to use these baptismal records and these marriage certificates, to show that one person was another person's child and that kind of thing. And the court says, look, absolutely, this stuff comes in. So the stuff in baptismal records, for instance, is not limited to merely the fact that child A was baptized in this church on such and such a day. But there's other information contained within these records. The mom is thus and so, the dad is so and so. Depending on how the church keeps their records, you could imagine siblings being listed in these records as well. Rule 803.12 regards as an exception to hearsay any of these certificates. Anything in them is therefore admissible under 803.12, even if it's not relating to the baptism itself. Any information that is normally covered in sort of family history in a baptismal certificate, or could be covered in such a document, is admissible under 803.12.